Good evening and welcome to episode 4 of the Pack Homer podcast. I'm Cal Parker, joined by my two best buds, Wes and Adam. Pack coming off a 2-1 series win over the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. And we're going to talk about that and ACC baseball. Got a lot to talk about in the Hawaii series, but let's start with ACC first tonight, guys. First, I'm going to start with a quick little rundown. The ACC went 32-11 this weekend. Clemson was a 2-3 series winner over Kennesaw State. Duke swept Northwestern. Notre Dame split a 4-game set with Florida International. Florida State swept Western Carolina. Miami won 2 out of 3 over Long Island. Virginia Tech swept Rhode Island. Georgia Tech with 2 out of 3 over Cornell. Louisville 2 out of 3 over St. Bonaventure. Wake swept Dayton. Boston College won 2 out of 3 over UT Arlington. Pitt had a 3-game set, I guess, at a neutral site where they had a win over Washington, lost to Maryland, and a win over Corpus Christi. UVA with a win over Wichita State, a win over Iowa, and also a win over Auburn. So they won 3 this weekend. And then UNC, glad to see, they lost a 3-game series with the Pirates, and that was really, really good baseball. I don't know if you guys watched that, but unfortunately, I'd say that the quality of baseball played in Greenville, Fayetteville, and Chapel Hill this weekend was a little bit better than what I saw from us in Hawaii this weekend. So, real quick, talking about the ACC, anything stand out to you guys this weekend? Oh, and first I want to say before we get going really good here, we got Wesley tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, you see he's got some headphones on. He's got a better microphone. My daughter, our YouTube advisor, has spoken, my daughter Kinsley, and she said that we need to get the good-looking guy in the center of we need to get him in the center of the frame so everybody can see him. Jacked and tan, and you get a good view of him, and we need to get him a better microphone. So we listen to the people, all 103 now, I think, of our Twitter subscribers. We are listening to them, and we got him where you guys can get a good look at him tonight. All right, so back to the ACC. Anything stand out to you guys this weekend in matchups outside of what? Outside of the PAX matchup in Hawaii? Like I said, the ACC went 32-11 this weekend. I'll start with you, Wesley.
Like you guys. I mean, the East Carolina North Carolina series was definitely the marquee matchup for college baseball this weekend. I think it was the only top 25 matchup, and I think it's really a really good deal that they do, having the game in Chapel Hill, then the game in Fayetteville, and then the finale in Greenville. And then the finale in Greenville, of course, it went the way that us three would have wanted it to go, with a walk-off, I believe, by a freshman at ECU to win that game. I think those guys set an attendance record today. It was 6,400 people, give or take, there in Greenville. It's just really, even though both are our rivals, it's really neat to see college baseball have that much excitement for a February game, to have over 6,000 people in attendance. So that was a lot of fun to watch. I think ECU threw 10 pitchers a day, which was really fun to watch too. But that was a game that I paid attention to all weekend, other than the Saturday game, which was much like our series, was not on TV for that game, which doesn't make a lot of sense either. And while I got the mic, shout out to Tuffy, I watched way more baseball on a live feed than I ever thought I was. But that was it was at least nice to be connected some way in the series this weekend.
Adam?
I would say one thing I was thinking about to the Kennesaw State Clemson series was Clemson won the series. It was similar to kind of our win over Arkansas in the Super Regionals a few years back. Clemson won the series, but got outscored by, I think, 10 runs all total. So after getting beat so bad in the first game. So that one kind of stood out. And I watched the last, I guess, 3 innings of the UNCG Wake game, the midweek game, the Tuesday night game. The Spartans kind of held it together late. Wake was trying to rally Tuesday night, and they were able to hold off Wake. So big win for them. But yeah, all in all, I think I kind of echo the comments about the East Carolina series. Kind of jealous watching that. I would love for us to have a series like that with ECU. I think it would be good for everybody. So, but we can move on and talk about us a little bit.
Yeah. And before we do, I just say college baseball in North Carolina, like Adam said. I mean, 6,000 people in attendance. I mean, not to toot the Pirates' horn too much because I don't like them a whole lot either. But my gosh, they show up and show out, and that's a heck of an environment for any team to play in. I think Andrew Simpson a couple of weeks ago talked about how hard it is to play over there, and today that place was just a madhouse, and they were able to. They were able to seal block up a series victory over the Heels, which is good to me. Yeah, real quick too before we move along, midweek games.
With a walk-off too, that had to be pretty electric.
With a walk-off, Greenville is probably still getting after it right now at 9:31 on Sunday night. They're probably just getting started. Yeah, the midweek games. I mean, Wake goes and loses to UNC Greensboro, and then I had to look it up just here a second ago. Wake goes and loses to UNC Greensboro 4-3 in a midweek game, and then UNC Greensboro proceeds to lose two games to Binghamton this weekend. So that's college baseball. But moving on to our series because we got a lot to talk about tonight. The Wolfpack, happy. I mean, we're happy. We won 2 out of 3 over Hawaii. It's about as ugly as it can get. We won game 1 17-12. I actually, probably because I'm not as, probably part of the reason I'm not as pretty as Wesley. I sat up. I sat up Friday and Saturday night. Didn't get my beauty rest till 3 in the morning. I watched every pitch Friday night and then listened to it on the radio last night. The Hawaii radio. Thank you guys out there in Hawaii. I don't remember your names, but appreciate you guys broadcasting that so I could follow along. But we win 2 out of 3 over Hawaii. We win game 1 17-12. Game 2 last night we lost 7-5, and then today, if you're just I'm sure a lot of you will probably, as we speak anyway, we're just following that game. We win 10-8 in 8 innings on a game that was ended early for a flight curfew. There was an agreement, I guess, in place before the game that the game would be 3 hours long, regardless of the score, and we were able to win 10-8. We were up 10-5 in that ball game at one point, and then they kind of stormed back. But I kind of want to talk about each of these 3 games individually. So if we go back to game 1, 17-12 win, the Pack, and this is really what I want to get into because, my gosh, I'm frustrated. And I know a lot of people that followed are too. But we walked 13 batters. We hit 2 more of them, and then somehow found a way to out-hit them and put up 17 runs. We had 20 hits. Also made an error in that game. Luckily, AMAC, our Pirate transfer, hit a couple of home runs. And even though, a 17-12 game, we kind of, after getting behind early, we had to lead a lot of the game. But let's talk about 13 walks and 2 hit batters from a Division I pitching staff. Because I don't care, not to hurt anybody's feelings, but that ain't good. Adam, I see you smiling. You want to go first on that? Because I got a lot to say.
Yeah, it is frustrating. I think, you pair the 15 that we put on, gave a free pass to first, compared to only 4 strikeouts in that game. I think the one positive that you say after a performance, an outing like that, is at least you won the game. I mean, because that's you look at that stat line and you're automatically thinking, no way we can put that many guys on and strike that few guys out, and that many guys making contact when you're putting that many guys on base and still win. So I would say at least the positive is that we won. I think I guess Whitaker got the win in that, right? Was he credited with the win? I'm thinking.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Because I think Sam only went 4. And I didn't watch the beginning of it. I woke up and watched late. So yeah, I think the only thing I could really glean from it is at least we won. It's tough. It's tough to win when you put that many guys on. And I think for the weekend, what was there 29 walks for the weekend? So at least the pace of it subsided from the first game, I guess, is another somewhat of a bright spot.
Wesley?
Well, I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head talking about the walks. I mean, we talk about having a series with ECU, first couple weekends of the year. Thank God we didn't. I mean, is a season over? No, but are we ready for that? No, either. So, I mean, hopefully, from a rotation standpoint, we're seeing some of the things we've seen. Hopefully, some guys are going to step up, but I think we have a long way to go before we're ready for conference play. I mean, Max 2 home runs and the 6 RBIs on Friday night. It's good to see him, and Serrano hit the ball a lot better this weekend compared to last weekend. So there are some positives, but once we get into conference play, it's unacceptable at all levels to give this many free passes out.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's kind of standing out too is the Matt Willitson injury. You look at our starters this weekend. We'll talk about game 2 and 3 too, but I mean, we can't get anybody through the 5th inning all weekend long, and you can't do that. You look at Sam the other night, and he threw 63 pitches, had 5 walks and 4 innings. Then when Van Dam came in after PJ Labriella, but Van Dam had 5 walks in an inning of work without giving up a run. Luckily he kind of came in the middle of an inning is how that worked out, where he was able to kind of put a lot of guys on
some other runners.
Yeah, he took over he didn't bail PJ and his ERA out. He let a couple of those in, but 13 walks, 2 hit batters, and I'm a washed up high school coach and now a volunteer little league coach. But I talked to my little league team about we have 3 things, and I think if we were to have one of them call in, one of my 12-year-olds call in, they say, well, what do we talk about before every practice? I say, there's 3 things you got to do if you want to win the game, especially in little league. It's different, obviously, at Division I level, but I say you got to throw strikes, number 1. Number 2, you got to protect the baseball. Not kick it all around the place, play soccer with it. That's what I call it. We want to play catch and not fetch. And then number 3, you got to run the base as well. Well, Hawaii, and hats off to Hawaii. I don't know. Hawaii won 2 out of 4 over Ole Miss week 1, and then they gave us everything we wanted this weekend in the series. We were able to win 2-1. But Hawaii is their coach, Rich Hill, I believe is his name. Talked about how they have they play that Japanese style baseball, and there is a large Southeast Asian presence there in Hawaii, but is it that bad, Wesley? I just heard again. But anyway, they play that style of baseball that you see in Japan. If you ever watch the Little League World Series, where they don't walk people, they play small ball. They run the bases, and they play defense. And honestly, other than recruiting rankings, we just have better players is why we won the series. That's it. We did not win the series this weekend for any other reason than the fact that we have far more talent than they do, because they flat out outperformed us, in every letter of the word. Monday or Friday night, I mean, 15 guys on for free. I mean, you're going to get absolutely blasted in the ACC if you walk 13 guys and you hit 2 more and then kick it one time just for good measure. So that is something that we absolutely got to clean up, and we're going to talk about it some more. But let's go through game 2 real quick too. So in game 2, we had 13 walks. We almost cut it in half for game 2. We only walked 7. We hit 3 more. We're trying to We're trying to bruise every Rainbow Warrior on the roster. I reckon we got 5 the first 2 games there. We get 3.2 innings out of Dom Fritten. We again kind of struggle with putting guys on, but we have a lead. We have a lead late in the ball game. Hawaii starting pitcher, Randy Abshire, I think is his name. He's a transfer from University of Arizona. I think he's a 5th or 6th year guy. Was a top 20 left-handed recruit coming out of high school. And he ends up in Hawaii. We know how the portal works now. But anyway, he struck us out 11 times in 5 innings. The Hawaii pitching staff had 12 strikeouts. I was talking to somebody Saturday. They said, well, the zone was tight last night. That's why we walked 13 guys. Well, I don't know what happened Saturday night because we walked 7 more and they walked 0. And their starting pitcher had 11 Ks in 5 innings, kind of gave us a really hard time there. Both teams did make 2 errors. But in that game, we used an all-freshman bullpen. I think we saw Jackson Lucas in that game, Cooper Consiglio, Jacob Duden, several different guys anyway come out of the bullpen. And I know it was really hard to follow on Saturday night. So basically what that game comes down to, we're up 5-4 in the 8th. We got the bases loaded. And I think it was Duden on the mound at the time. He throws strike 3 with the bases loaded with 2 outs. We have a pass ball, and they score with 2 outs. Should have been out of the inning with a strikeout. They score, make it 5-5, and then ended up with 2 more runs that inning, and then they close us out and win that game 7-5. 5 out of these 7 Hawaii runs in game 2 were scored by runners who reached on error, hit by pitch, or walk. So not a recipe for winning baseball. Want to add anything, guys, on that one?
The pass ball was obviously critical in that game, especially on strike 3 to get out of the inning. But, you look at, again, we're putting so many runners on and they walked and we drew 0. So I don't really think, that game, look at the stat line, it could have easily gone that way game 1. So I think the difference with that many runners being on base just really caught up with us in game 2.
Yeah, you're always due for bad things to happen, right?
Yeah.
When you perform that way. Wesley, anything you want to add there on game 2?
Yeah, not much more to add on game 2. Not much more at all. It's just not the way a top 25 program plays.
Yeah, and one of the things I did want to mention, and hate to be critical of coaching decisions. I think you guys know by now I'm a former coach, so I'm pretty defensive of coaching. But a couple of things that really frustrated me, I'd say, in that game is, and I don't know. Obviously, we're not in the dugout. We don't know where guys stand. But Lucas there, the kid from Garner, got 2 outs, and we go lefty on lefty. We bring in Consiglio, walk a guy on 4 pitches, and then that 8th inning kind of gets out of control there. I personally, I know there's a lot of data out there. I know there is all the metrics and whatnot. You can say, lefty on lefty is the right move there. I'm kind of feeling like my man Lucas just struck out, made out number 2 by a strikeout. Let's try to get out of the dang inning. This ain't the major leagues. We're not guaranteed to bring in somebody out of the bullpen throwing 100 from the left side to go up against a left-handed hitter. I kind of would have liked us to kind of ride with Lucas. I will say, in that game, you got an all freshman bullpen, and guys, we got talent in arms. I don't want to like disparage any of the guys we got there in the bullpen, but you got to throw the ball over the plate, and we just didn't, and it cost us. And then let's jump to game 3, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this. So game 3, I think all three of us followed that one pretty close today. Who wants to give us a rundown on that one? I think I've probably talked enough here for a second. Wesley or Adam?
I mean, for me, I mean, again, the games weren't televised, so I mean, I was piecing it together as best as possible from YouTube stream or from Twitter. But I like Hogue in the 2 spot. I did like that. I thought Luke Nixon provided some offense, so that was that's something that to look forward to. The offense looked good. Van Dam came in with bases loaded and shut them down. So I mean, there was some positives for Game 3. I definitely thought so. But again, I mean, while we're talking, I mean, we've got the excitement of the freshman arms. But what about some of our sophomore and juniors? Where are those guys at? What the hell? Hey, I mean, did these kids just step on campus at 18 years old and they're just that much better than what we have in the pen? I don't know. Obviously so. That's a little bit of a head scratcher, I guess. The freshmen seeing all these innings in the early season, I guess that'll benefit us. But it is a little bit of head scratcher that we haven't seen some of the veteran guys that I would have personally thought we would have seen in the first few series of the season.
Yeah, Adam, you got anything to add about today's game? Honestly.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just going to say it was a game. Honestly, it kind of feels like we escaped by having to run to the airport.
Yeah. I think I was telling you guys that even at 10-5, I wasn't feeling very good with as many base runners as they were getting on, and we really didn't do much the last 3 or 4 innings there anyway. After thankfully we went up. I agree about Nixon. It was good to see him, get a few clutch hits and had a couple RBIs a day. I think he's probably our batting average leader now anyway, at least with obviously a more limited number of at-bats, but he's 450 plus, I think, now. So, but yeah, that was good to see him. I agree with Hogue in the 2 spot. That seemed like I agree. I like some of the lineup changes that we had. But yeah, I mean, I think but the big story I think is getting out of that inning with the bases loaded, no outs, and not allowing any runs, striking out 2. I think both were looking, and then getting a pop out to end it. That was huge. Guy from Hawaii struck out looking on a 3-2 pitch. Bases loaded is a pretty tough way to go, but I'm glad he did. So, yeah, I'm glad we got the win. I feel a lot better about getting the series win and getting out of there. I mean, it just feels like we probably didn't play good enough to, or at least pitch good enough to win. So when you do get out of there with a series win, that's what it's kind of all about. So I think hopefully we'll get some things figured out. To Wes's point, hopefully some of these other guys, we don't know what some of the issues might be or what's going on, but obviously, they're seeing a lot in these guys that apparently they like and at least getting some early season innings. But it would be nice to see some of these guys that we've seen the last couple of years that we thought we'd be seeing by now.
Was Sosa in the lineup at all this weekend?
I don't think Sosa got an at bat this weekend.
I don't think he did either. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
I was wondering if it was injury or something we don't know about. But yeah, Sosa did not get an at bat this weekend that I'm aware. I did want to talk about Josh Hogue a little bit because I will tell you, if you're tuning in, that us 3 are the biggest Chase Nixon fans probably that you ever met. There's Vince Army down there, and left field at the Doak. We're all humongous Chase Nixon fans. We love Chase Nixon. The guy plays hard. He hits. And we've been kind of upset, on the group text that we haven't seen more Chase. But, man, Josh Hogue can play. The guy has it. He can play. And I hate it that we're not seeing more Chase. And I do hope he carves out a role. And I know he had some preseason injuries. But, when you got to write out a lineup card every day, at first I was a little bit skeptical and critical of not giving Chase an opportunity to run out there. But, boys, Josh Hogue can hit. The dude is a hitter. What is he up to now?
Well.
He's hitting, after today's game, he's hitting 393. And, I think he brings another element to the offense. No complaints at all, for me offensively about this team. I'm looking right now after today. I'm just going to go down today's lineup and give you guys a rundown. But Noah Souls is now hitting 355. Josh Hogue is hitting 393. Garrett Pennington, who, we all talked about a lot in the offseason, is hitting 419. Jacob Cozart, even after striking out 4 times today, he did hit a home run in Game 3 today, but he's hitting 333. Amax hitting 379. Eli Serrano now is up to 357. Lamfier's hitting 353, and Luke Nixon is hitting 455. And then Butterworth down there in the 9 hole is a guy that, obviously is in the lineup because he brings defense with him. But he's hitting 240. Did make 2 errors today, which was kind of frustrating. But, he's also made some really big plays for us in some kind of tough spots with all the traffic that we've had on the bases. So this team's going to hit. I don't think there's any question about it. I think in the ACC, I'm not worried about it. When you swing the bats like we've already done through the first 6 games, I have no question about our ability to hit the baseball because, I just read out 9 guys. We just talked about Sosa. We talked about Chase Nixon. We got guys on the bench. The other night, Bechtel hit a home run. I think this is his first or second college at bat. Anyway, he hit a home run. Another true freshman. We got some guys that can swing the stick. But let's just talk a little bit more about our pitching staff because it's the elephant in the room. It is a concern when I think we've played 2 weeks now, and other than Marone last Sunday, have we had a starter go 5 innings yet?
No.
Marone had the only win coming into today. So the only starter credited with a win.
I mean, back to earlier. I'm just the development of some of the guys from last year that we saw, and you're like, well, next year those guys are going to come on strong, and we haven't even seen them. There's ghosts.
Yeah, ghosts.
I mean,
and maybe there's some guys injured, but like Big John Moralia, haven't seen him.
Payne. I'm
Garrett Payne.
Yeah,
maybe
Payne
still
should
hurt.
be back. I mean, there's some of these guys. I mean, some of the
Schaefer.
guys. Schaefer put in some good innings during the ACC tournament last year, and obviously we're not in the dugout like Cal said earlier, but from a development standpoint, and these guys, from strength, the strength coach, they're getting stronger, bigger and stronger every year. You would have thought that some of these 18-year-old guys wouldn't jump them on the depth chart immediately. But again, I'm not complaining because we got some phenomenal arms that are 18 years old. But it's just surprising that we haven't seen some more of the veteran from a pitching staff standpoint. Even Van Dam, even though he's an older guy, he's a new guy to us.
Yeah. I'm going down the roster. I just want to talk about all the freshmen that we've thrown. And you guys, if I miss someone, let me know. But and the first freshman that kind of pops up when you scroll down the roster is Chance Mako, super highly recruited guy. One of the actual freshmen we haven't seen yet, so I'm sure we're going to see him. But as far as freshman arms so far, we've seen Jackson Lucas. We've seen Heath Andrews today. Heath Andrews, freshman out of Virginia, threw for us today. Ryan Marone, who's been our Sunday starter so far. We have seen
Heath Andrews.
Cooper. Yeah, Heath Andrews was today. Cooper
Yeah,
Consiglio.
he got the win today.
Yes. Cooper Consiglio came in last night and faced one batter. He's a freshman lefty. Um, as Wesley mentioned, he's a sophomore, but Shane Van Dam, new to us, has seen a lot of work. We have seen Jacob Duden extensively in the first couple of weeks. Hollis Fanning, he's a senior, but new to us. He's thrown a couple of times now. Jake Bechtel, he's listed on the roster as an outfielder / right-handed pitcher. He started last night and hit a home run. We haven't seen him on the mound yet. But all those freshman arms that were running out there over guys like Andrew Schaffner, a guy that we saw last year, John Moralia, Jacob Deans, Jacob Halford was a guy that last year, I'm pretty sure he threw last year in the South Carolina Regional.
He did.
We have seen PJ Labriola. He struggled the other night in game 2. Came in and gave up several hits. I believe it was in game 2. Other upperclassmen pitchers, Wynn Scott, haven't seen him yet this year. Derek Smith did come in today, sophomore right-hander, for one out. Have we seen Carson Kelly yet this year? I don't think we've seen Carson Kelly. I don't think
so. You got to think that maybe
the midweek guy.
Maybe you got to think maybe he's not. Something's up there because last year he pitched 21 times, had 33 strikeouts and 24 innings.
Well, Christopher Zapito, he's another freshman we have not seen yet. But anyway, we have seen a lot more. We've seen a lot more trust in the freshman arms out of the bullpen than we have from our upperclassmen. And I'm fine with that. If they're better, I won't. I've always felt like you gotta run the better guy out there. I don't believe in seniority when you're trying to win ball games. But I do think whether it's freshman or senior, when you go out there and you can't throw it over the plate, that's something that's going to have to be addressed. And getting back to the walks, one of the things that frustrated me this weekend, I think, and Adam just knows it's just burning me up. One of the things that frustrated me, we have ACC recruits. If you go click on their names on our nice GoPack website, every doggone one of them was like top 100 this, top 100 that, top 20 in whatever state we recruited them from. And guys I don't think we're absolutely getting lit up. I think before the game today, they're hitting 241 against us as a team before today. I don't know after today, but you got to throw it over the damn plate. You're sitting there and we're throwing first pitch sliders to the 9-hole hitter. And I know they don't probably call their pitches, but when you're going to play a team who obviously has not recruited the talent that you have on your roster, and we got to change we got to gut up a little bit and go after some guys. So there's a lot of different pitching philosophies in baseball. You got guys that we want to pitch everybody backwards. We want our staff to be able to pitch backwards, which is we want to throw them what the book doesn't say throw them here. We want to throw 2-0 curveballs and changeups, or we want to be really aggressive and go right after guys and make them hit it. I always, as long as I coached, I was always a see how far they can hit it guy, because we ain't putting them on for free. And for us to have these freshman guys that are, 92, 94, 96, a lot of arm talent we ain't seen the last couple of years, if we're being honest here. And for us to just sit there and just nibble and hit guys and walk guys, I really, really want to see our pitchers go after some guys. Throw it over the plate and see how far they can hit it. And if they hit it out, my gosh, I can live with that over 13 walks. It's just unacceptable. If I was coaching my 12-year-old team, we walked 13 guys, I'm going to go tell my wife after the game, it's a rec game. Obviously, it don't matter. We're going to get a hot dog and go home. But, 13 walks, my gosh, we're a Division I baseball team. Somebody chime in before I just before I get myself in trouble here.
I don't think anything you're saying anybody affiliated with the program would disagree with, right? Officially affiliated with the program, right? I
agree.
all the coaching staff would agree too. Like it's just too many walks. Can't put that many guys on. Just shy of 7 walks per game so far. Man, that's just unbelievable. So you do that.
So,
And,
so how much? Yeah, sorry, Adam.
No, I was gonna say you do that, and you're still 4-2. I think you got to be pretty happy until you and have 2 series wins until you can get it figured out.
Yeah, and hopefully we do figure it out, and it does speak highly of the offense that we're running out every day, that we can score enough runs to overcome that. I do want to talk about these freshman pitchers, because you hate to see a young kid get discouraged. I mean, we got some dudes, guys. I mean, Jackson Lucas and Jacob Duden and Ryan Marone, they have the stuff to win in the ACC right now. They are talented. A couple of them have, multiple pitches in their arsenal. They are getting a lot of experience as 18-year-olds that, is hard to come by in the ACC. They're getting a lot of experience early. And I really do like the talent. If you're out recruiting these guys, I think every scout in America, we've always joked about this when I was a high school coach, that, college coaches see talent and they're always like, well, I can teach him to throw strikes, or I can teach him to do this, or I can teach him to do that. But I mean, they got all the things on paper. I mean, we got several guys throwing low to mid 90s, guys with really good stuff, but, just hope that we can, put it together. So I'm not down on them. Like Adam said, we're 4-2. We could be in a lot worse position, with the amount of traffic we put on the base pass this weekend. But we're not. So not the end of the world. We're early. We talked about last week some of the ranked teams that lost, but still got to get it over the plate. And it makes you better as a baseball team too. When you're, I don't know if you guys ever have stood on the field and played a position when your pitcher walked 2 or 3 guys in a row. It's kind of hard to play good focused defense when your guy up on the mound is struggling to throw strikes for you.
Yep.
So
I think that's why it's kind of hard to be
ahead.
critical. It's hard to be critical of some of the errors that we saw. To your point. You get frustrated when you're put in those situations, having to play in a lot, or just have runners on base that shouldn't be there. So I think we got to get back. We'll have. I guess they're coming back tonight. They'll get home tomorrow. Have tomorrow off. Come back Tuesday. And then starting Wednesday, we got 5 games in 5 days. So it's going to be a grind. Hopefully, an opponent that we match up well with. Hopefully, given their records thus far. But maybe we can.
Yeah,
that'll be a chance for us to figure it out.
Yeah, probably learn a lot more about some arms. So let's talk about that real quick, and before we wrap up. What you guys want to see. So we have 2 and 5 Queens coming in the midweek. And then we have a 4-game set with 1 and 6 Townsend next weekend. So by all accounts, a week that we really hope we win 5 games. And, next Sunday night, if we're sitting here and we're 9-2, things feel a little bit better. But what do you guys want to see out of this baseball team next week? Let's not talk about the walks anymore. I think we've probably beat that horse to death. We obviously want those strikes. But what else would you guys like to see going into this next week with the 5 games? It is going to be a challenge. That was one of the things we didn't talk about. You're playing at 2 in the morning when you're playing in Hawaii. I don't think that makes you throw balls instead of strikes, but it does. It is definitely a challenge on the body. So coming back this week, we got 5 games against 2 teams that, on paper are certainly inferior opponents, but they are Division I baseball players. What do you guys want to see? I'll start with you, Wes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a challenge coming back with the across the world flight, like Adam said, for 5 games in 5 days. But and not to harp on the pitching staff, but like we said from the beginning, we know we're going to hit. We have a, you know, the DH spot is one of the most intriguing things on our team because we got so many guys that can be in the everyday lineup from the DH spot, and I think from the clubhouse standpoint, that makes it a competition every day. So I think that keeps those guys focused. And I mean, whether it's Nixon or Lamphere or Sosa or whoever it could be, that keeps the focus there. But we still want to see who's going to step up in the bullpen because if you're a guy that hasn't thrown yet, man, what an opportunity to show what you can do here in the next 5 days. So I think here this week, is there a guy that we haven't seen that can step up in the bullpen and show us what he can do? And for me, that's what I would say would be what I'm looking here for the next week. Who's the guy we haven't seen that can step up with the arm?
Adam?
I would agree. I think we're going to see some new guys, right? Some guys that we hadn't seen, and should be a good opportunity for them. Get these early season reps in. And, we were talking about it earlier, maybe think about, one of the conversations that we were having, prior to the season was, things are so different, right? In today's marketplace, if you will, there's, with the portal and NIL and those sort of things, there's just a lot of, more pressure from the coaching staff to get players reps or innings or that sort of thing, at least get a number on paper probably that they can show at the end of the season, how many innings they got and, what they did. And, it's hard to say at this stage of the season, but, you got to think too, like, how much is it that we're trying to get some of these young guys more reps because maybe we got some other guys that we feel like are going to get the majority of them come conference play. So I don't know. I don't think that, it weighs heavily in our mind, but you got to think, in today's world, with some of these stuff going on in NCAA, how much does that really come into play? But regardless of that, I think this week with the 5 games, we're going to see some new arms. So I'm excited to see that. Agree that, we seem to be hitting the ball, scoring runs. All that part's going great. I do agree with Wes. I think the DH spot is going to continue to be a musical chairs, if you will, because we just got so many guys that we need to get those ABs. So,
yeah, well, Adam, you make a great point. You make a great point because, in seasons past, if you have a young guy that maybe is not quite ready, you have to play him now because he could leave next year. I mean, would we have played Peoples? Would we have played Peoples behind the plate more last year if we thought there was a chance of him leaving? I don't know. Maybe not. But I think, and us seeing Nixon some this weekend, I think that has a lot to do with it, that you have to get these guys out there because they can leave next year.
Yeah.
And once upon a time, they were there for 4 years. You could develop them and see how this goes and see the flow of the game. And then now those guys, if they feel like they're not getting the PT that they deserve, they're gone. And, maybe ultimately that ends up being a great thing. But I think that's something that coaches have to consider now. And maybe why we're seeing more of the freshmen pitchers pitching.
Yeah, I know.
Because they have more talent, and you're going to have to throw your talent because they may leave next year, right? If they know they're better. So I think there's a dynamic now from a coaching standpoint that maybe wasn't there 5, 10, 2 years ago. And Cal can speak to that more as a former coach on the pod, but I think there's definitely a dynamic now that maybe we haven't seen in years past.
Yeah, and I do think that, freshmen come in now and they want to play. So, how we balance that, especially too offensively. I mean, like we've said, we've got so many guys that we can put in. We talked about Bechtel came in this weekend and he had a home run. He's played in 1 game this year. Well, I don't know about you guys, but if I played in one game and hit a bomb, I'd be like, Coach, you got to run me back out there. And then you got, Chase Nixon, who hit over 300 last year. I'm sure he's like, Coach, I need to get a chance to get in the lineup. And then you got Alex Sosa, one of the highest recruited kids in the country. Coach, I need to get in the lineup every day. Well, and there's only 9 spots to write in. So I think that is hard to try to massage that and try to keep everybody happy and to play the guys that are hot at any given time. I am looking, not just walks, not just talking walks, but one of the things I wrote down, I looked up today, our whip coming in. So whip is walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. It's how many walks and hits you give up per inning that you pitch. And we were at 1.6 coming into today. And then I said, well, let me go look up teams that we think have a good chance to be in Omaha. We didn't talk about them a whole lot today, but I still guys think Duke is really, really good. Obviously, Wake is really, really good. Arkansas, I think this weekend. How many was it, Adam? 16,000 they played in front of. Was it 16,000 they played when it?
They set their record.
So those are 3 really good teams. Duke is 1.14. Wake is 1. That means they allow 1 base runner per inning. And Arkansas was 1.05. So looking, if we're going to go toe-to-toe with those guys late in the year, to find the mix in the bullpen that allows us to compete. I do think that early in the season, when you're playing the Hawaiis and the VCUs and the Townsends of the world, it's not as important. I do want to figure out, I am eager to see who's going to be the guy that's going to shut the door. I've never been a fan of, kind of bullpen by committee and we're going to run out whoever we got to finish it tonight. I want to find somebody that when we get in ACC play, that when we go into the 9th inning or 8th or 9th inning with a 2 or 3 run lead, that we're not sitting here biting our fingernails off. Like, we know when we put this guy in, chances are this ball game's over. So I hope that out of that crop of young guys we have or veterans that we can find who that is. I think that's going to be important. It's definitely going to be important that we get more innings out of our starters so we don't put so much pressure on the bullpen. One of the things I was whining about a couple of weeks ago, I'll say whining, was that the last couple of years we've thrown 3 or 4 guys, and that's it, it seems like. We are throwing a lot more guys now. So I hope that Coach Chrysler, Coach Avent are really stirring the pot and breeding competition and hoping that, out of that, we are able to build a formidable bullpen because, it's a lot better to lose one early that you thought you should have won than get late in the season and not have confidence in the next guy out of the pen, when you're playing a 12 or 13 game or 13 inning game in the ACC tournament and you just have no idea when you look down there who's next. So excited too that we are running a lot of guys out there, just going to be paying attention to see how those guys develop and perform as we move forward. And I'll tell you, because I've been really critical tonight, that I know that our coaches are going to challenge our pitchers this week. I know that the challenge is going to be, we got to throw more strikes. We got to go deeper in ball games. We got to keep our pitch count down. That's going to be echoed through the clubhouse. So really eager to see who steps up to the challenge, whether it be somebody we've seen or that we haven't. And then also if we can just keep hitting like this, because, man, it's exciting when, 1 through 9, you got guys batting 300. I think that is fun to watch. I think that's baseball that fans that aren't coming out to the Duck right now, they'll show up to see a team that's scoring, 8, 10, 12 runs every night. So excited about that. I want to talk real quick about our sponsors before we move on. Then I'm going to let Wesley and Adam give us an update on our current Twitter and Instagram audience, follow them, whatever you want to call it. The show obviously is brought to you by Waters and Mathis CPAs. If you're looking to pack your pockets with tax savings, visit WMCPAs.com, WMCPAs.com. And if you're looking to sponsor us, or be a sponsor of the show, you can reach out to us at packhomerpod@gmail.com. That is packhomerpod@gmail.com. And we would love to give you some information on how you can support the show. We have already committed $1,000 to when we $1,000 more dollars. We gave $1,000 last week for our for Coach Avent's 1,000th win. Was excited to see One Pack retweet that this week and try to start a little campaign there to raise NIL money for our program. But we've committed another $1,000 to the NIL fund when we reach 1,000 Twitter followers. And I'm going to let Adam tell the group how we're tell the audience how we're doing.
So it's 1,000 followers on X for one. Elon has changed.
That's correct. On X.
So, oh wow! So we're up to 104, which I think last week when we aired, I think last week we were about 40 or maybe 50. So we got to retweet.
We're surging.
We got to retweet this week from that we were tagged in from the baseball team. So that was exciting. Talking about our sponsorship of the NIL program following Coach Avent's 1,000th win in the red and white. So yeah, so we're at 104. We're surging. That's right. That's a good word. So,
Wesley, tell them about that Instagram we got going now. Gosh, man, you look good in that picture on the Instagram. Kind of put me and Adam to shame. You good-looking rascal.
Well, we appreciate all of Kirsten's efforts and talents for getting us set up on social media. That is definitely not our three is not our forte, and you know
she's our social media manager.
That's right. That's my wife, Kirsten. Big Pack fan. She's going to be on the show eventually. We're going to rope her in.
I'm sure you guys are similar to me when I'm at work in our day jobs, and I say the term user error very regularly to my IT department. I'm like, my computer's moving slow. And they're like, you have 30 open tabs. So you know we're not the most IT savvy guys. We just like NC State and baseball, but we definitely thank Kirsten for that the Instagram. So we expect our followers to definitely compound here over the next few weeks, and then back to NC State and the NIL back to the $1,000. It's very important that we support the baseball program. We have to keep up, and we were talking about Peebles earlier, and we won't mention the fellow a couple years ago that left for Baton Rouge, but it's something we have to do, as a fan base, and we hope that we can be a catalyst to help that in the program moving forward, and not to say we need to take money away from basketball, but please don't give any money to our basketball program. Please don't do it. If it doesn't go to baseball, send it to football, and we'll all be happy. Don't send any money to basketball.
Men's basketball.
Even women's. Don't send it to basketball. Send it to football. Send it to football. Send it to baseball. We're a football and baseball school at NC State.
We should have probably started with this earlier today, but because I don't know how many listeners we still got at 52 minutes in. But if you're following on YouTube, my daughter has been passing these out. It says subscribe to the Pack Homer podcast. She did a little artwork for us, but we are on YouTube, X/Twitter. We are on Instagram at Pack Homer Pod. We are also on Spotify. We're on Apple now. I think we're on Google Podcasts. I have no idea how we got there. If you guys have, I just clicked some button and it says it's there, but I haven't listened to it there yet. But if you do,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I said I got a stat. So this is our fourth. This is our fourth episode, and there's 3.2 million. I think it was estimated 3.2 million podcasts. Only 10% make it to episode 4. So
there we go.
Cheers, baby.
90% or 3 episodes or less. So we made it. We made it.
Cheers. No, what I was going to say is if you got that Gmail address, packhomerpod@gmail.com, if you guys could figure, if anyone knows on these podcast things we're doing, how we can get some better music, we're all about it. Maybe you don't want to sponsor us. Maybe you just want to teach us how we can get some better lead in and exit music. We're about to hit it here in a minute, just a second here. But we need all the IT support we can get in regards to that, because
at least we could tell them what we'd rather be playing than the
we just
the
don't
little
know.
The little jingle that we got is we want to play Cheap Seats by Alabama.
Yeah, we want to play Cheap Seats by Alabama.
That's all we want.
Or maybe some some ESPN coverage of Torres going yard off Kevin Kopps in Arkansas. Something fancy. We're not a very fancy production yet, but we're working toward it. We promise we're doing our best. But if anybody can help us with that, we will be willing to take any and all instruction and advice. But yeah, the cheap seats from Alabama, that's what we're looking for. Maybe for some of our sophomore and junior pitchers, they want to hear "Put me in, coach." I don't know, but we need anybody got any advice? I do appreciate we're getting some comments on Apple and Spotify to our little question. What did you think about the pod? We appreciate all the positive feedback. We appreciate all the 5-star reviews. We honestly are really enjoying it, and I think I speak for all of us when we say we really hope you're here with us for episode 5. So you guys make it a great week. Uh-oh.
No jingle?
See, the music's not even working. There it goes.
You gotta do some edits.
I don't know how to edit.
It's all right. You leave the in there.
All right.